Hi guys. For those that don't know who I am or are coming across this video for the first time, my name is David, and I'm the co-creator to Soul Gardener, which came at the end of a meditation session up in Scotland meditating, and I heard Soul Gardener sort of whispered in my ear, and I was like, oh, I'm not sure what that's about, but I ended up writing it down, and lo and behold, later it came out to be the creation of a business and an idea. And I watched a YouTube video this morning while listening to one this morning while meditating of this guy in a book that I've recently finished reading, which is this guy here. I'll just show you the book. It's the name of the book is also in the title of this sort of video blog, and I was really kind of like blown away by this chap, and it was given to me by a gorgeous woman that did a lot of healing with me and a lot of growth, and it's also quite important to me because it has a butterfly on, and this has been a key sign over the years of importance. That when there is a butterfly, it holds a particular meaning of a point of interest, or this moment has gravity, or it's a signal. It's one of my signs. Like some people receive feathers, I see butterflies, and the net curtains actually for the flat that I'm now living in, that I've been living in now for 18 months, has butterflies on. But what I suppose this book did to me, or has really evaluated where I am in my sort of like what I hope is my spiritual awakening and my spiritual consciousness that's growing in. And a conversation with the woman who gave me this book this past week, and a couple of other things. I had a meeting where I was asked to explain why Reiki, why Buddhism, why recovery, why 12 steps, really. What is it in relation to God and Christianity, and why do you seek your root in another path? And I suppose that's a really hard, no, it's not a hard question, because I managed to answer it quite articulately. Not that I knew I was going to do that, but because I suppose if I go back to people who might have known me pre-transplant or pre-recovery, when I was in active addiction, I've changed a lot, and it's been a topic of conversation that I've recently revisited with my mum. Was sort of like, she said, and others, after I had my heart transplant, I changed. And the reason why this book spoke to me is about this guy who's a neurosurgeon, mentally clever, ends up getting E. coli, and his brain stem dead for, brain stem unconscious in a coma for 7 days, and it has this experience of going to heaven, going to the alternative universe. This is my interpretation of his experience. So if I am misrepresenting it, I'm doing my best. So, and I could feel in a kinship to his experience, because recently, through some meditation, some healing work that I've been doing, I've been working on my heart chakra and my mind, my head, and clearing out things. But I recently had a vision or like a memory come back of being prepared for the operation, and seeing two people that were stood in the room, though not stood in the room, and are sort of like above on the far side, and this sort of triggers into or links into another experience I had in the last weeks where, I was offered to have the business that I'm trying to create by offering healing and spiritual development and spiritual counseling and card reading and working with the energy of love and spirit guides to help bring support and enlightenment through my own experiences and you maybe who comes to have a reading. And I was saying to the lady who I did the reading to last night, I'm just jumping off a little bit here, that when you come for a reading, it's the words and the pictures all doesn't come from me, because it's not necessarily a way that I would talk or a way that I'd act, but it's your soul communicating to me your soul communicating to me in a way that you will understand, which is really bizarre, but it's amazingly powerful, because the images and the way that the atmosphere and the presence or is created in the room is, I've got no idea what these links and these memories and these thoughts, these pictures, this description of being in a boat or traveling down a river, or we're walking on a path, or it's a tree. I don't know where this comes from. This arrives, but it's the language of which unlocks doors, is what I'm seeing in your soul or in your chakras, those energy ports, and then which the information, and I can see people walking out of them, to talk and communicate. It's how you communicate with me, really. I'm just like the receiver. I'm like the mouthpiece who's got a listening pad and a mouthpiece, and I'm just tuned into what your soul's saying in a way. But and this link to the soul gardener was that when I was having this discussion about the business, and it was offering me all these lovely ideas of how to improve it and make it worldwide and other stuff like that, was I saw these two light beings stood either side of the logo I have, which is Soul Gardener, or the tree, which again holds importance for me, trees. And another word, a sentence that I heard at the end of the meditation, which is wise oak. I'm yet to find what that link is. But so there are these beings that have been in my life. But it's quite strange, because I suppose as I was watching this this video blog this morning, I sort of went, I define myself as I am now, but I haven't always been like this at all. And it makes me think back to when I used to sit with my mum, and she'd sometimes watch on the cable when we lived down in Brighton, mediums working, and people receiving spiritual messages, and mum was often a lot more open than I was to things. I experienced at quite a young age when looking at diagnosis and treatment for my disability and receiving healing, but it was never really what I can say, like, my bag. My dad is very traditional. We have a very traditional family. This is my interpretation of how my view of how we were brought up, and it's just one point of view within the stadium of our family. But it was quite old-fashioned. It's quite Georgian. It was dad, the head of the family, his job, and worked around the job, and he helped support his children to be able to go and get the education and stuff. Very traditional, very working family in supporting, our family and loved ones in order to function in a way to the best of their ability to very much I worked and helped and supported Dad at church, and it was a very big part of my life. It was very much the foundation of my life for a very long time. I've been enamoured and awed by the Church of England, by Christianity, by God, this idea of God and this guy dying on the cross. It was big. It was very much larger than life. And I loved the theatre and the incense, the candles, and that nostalgic Christmassy sort of, carols by candlelight and all of that, which was just so magical to grow up and travel and move around the UK as we did. And so really I was quite skeptical of all spirituality, the 60s, anybody slightly hippie, alternative, and funky, really. If you'd said to me sort of like a little while ago, David, you're going to become somebody that's quite into trees, you're going to become a classic tree hugger, I would have looked at you and gone, you are so kidding me right now, aren't you? Because I'd been this really quite, maybe I'll join the priesthood, quite like the idea of the monks, stuff like that. And then I've been through a long period of disillusionment. We were, the way when I was having this conversation with the chap that came about why Buddhism and things, we were using the Christian Bible and proverbs and different things that stories in order to explain things. And I said, it's like that, going out into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. It's like going to the Garden of Gethsemane and being rocked to the very core, literally snapped, broken down by an illness of alcoholism, completely, utterly broken after having, it progressed from a point of great triumph and creation and evolution of being brought back to life by a heart transplant, to then shift into a very different phase of my life and slowly have this progression of an illness that unraveled me. And broke isn't the word, but disintegrates you molecule by molecule to the point of a soul sickness, a soul fracturing, a splitting. I mean, the thing I can see in my head is what I saw as I started to recover when in meditation, and that was a wound in the very core of the fibre of who I was, and it's slicing down the very centre of my being. That's coming into recovery, being able to look back and see that. But prior to all of that, I was not into this at all. I was skeptical, I was dismissive, I was belligerent to other people's ideas because I didn't understand. Frightened. It's something I still find immensely hard to talk about. I could cry actually, because it's the stuff of the core, and it was so confusing going from the point of reconciling yourself to dying, to planning your own funeral, to writing letters to people, to sort of mentally and physically saying goodbye to lots and lots of people, to then suddenly be pulled back out of that transition over. It was the transition over, passing over. We talk about now, the transition of the soul and soul midwifery. And actually now as I connect to that, I can feel that was it. I was doing the arc. I was going over. As you walk towards that to the ferry boat, to pay the man to ferry you across to the other side. And paying your coin, having the discussion with the ferryboat man and going, here's a coin. Are you ready? And him going, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you ready to go over? Because there is this great golden heart that's coming. And, I can sit there now in that sort of, my mind's eye that's opened up to be able to see this and I can see myself sat there as a boy in like 3/4 length shorts and a shirt sort of thing, having this conversation. And lots of people coming in and out beside me and talking to me, helping me through that period as I got iller and iller and iller, as I got darker and darker and darker, confused and confused. On odd waiting ground. I'm not good at limbo. And that's something I'm still learning. And I, of course, remember when I was doing this meditation and thinking about this chat, there's a really wise guy or a family priest that was part of our family unit, our soul unit. And this Eden talks about soul clusters. I think it's sort of what he said, but groups of souls that come together, to come into this life, to this universe. And, I call this universe the sandbox, or this earth, the world, this. It's like the sandbox. I heard it somewhere, and it makes a lot of sense that, we come down here as children in order to learn, to grow. And I remember that really vividly, sitting in Brighton in the downstairs sitting room where we'd moved to, and him sitting across from me and me sitting on the couch, and we're talking about it because I'd said no. I'd said no to having the transplant. Because I felt this immense, overwhelming responsibility to not continue this abhorrent condition I had. It's a word that's coming to mind. A sense of responsibility to not carry forward this sense of being this malfunction of this malfunction I'm not giving me words, but and I remember having this conversation and him talking to me about your mum and dad and things like that, and I now see how my Asperger is linked into this. I see something so functional, and I see things so functional, and sometimes I see family. It's very functional. I have done, and it's not a reducing them down. It's just I think it's a way that my mind it's a way that a way of coping. It's not that I love them any less, or it's not to do with love. It's a way of functioning. But for me, love's really quite hard. It's when I feel it, it's quite intense. It can be quite painful. And he's talking to me, and he talks to me about my friends and not leaving them, and he then talks to me and says that sorry, before I start crying, David, I don't want you to go. And that I'll miss you. And dude, that was really hard, because this guy had, for not just me, but my family had been such an important part. He'd given immense hours of his time listening to me in the the amount of emotion that being on the autism, being human creates. And he was at this, talking from the heart, talking from the soul, connecting. That's where spiritual experience is, to connect. Spiritual is to connect, heart, soul. His soul talking and healing and calling to my soul, and drawing me back. And Eden talks about this in his book about loved ones coming and being with him in hospital while he's in a coma and drawing him back. And then it's his son that draws him back at the very sort of like last bit, that immense realm of responsibility and love and commitment to his son that calls him back. Now, sharing this with you, I can see that it's that he pulled me back into me, pulled my soul back into the fragments to take the next part of the journey, and then it veers off in a very different direction. And not a direction that I would have chosen, and I doubt anybody would choose. And I'm very grateful to my autism, because it gave me a level of functionability to manage an experience that's very unmanageable. I'm lucky that I don't have a lot of memories to some of this stuff. Some of it comes back. I believe more of it will, as it's meant to be. Yeah. As I'm ready, maybe, I don't know, but and that period afterwards of coming out of hospital, it was very quick. It was huge, the turnaround was fast. I mean, Eden again talks about it in his book, that he comes back. I've not realised this until sharing it now. He comes back, he comes back and within weeks, he has the full content of his memory back from prior to the coma. But he also has the memories back of being in that being back to source. And this wisdom gained, the soul wisdom. That journey, they're holding me, I think. Thanks, guys. The pain, just that journey between stops. I love it, trying to minimalize it, to bring context and quantability to it. It's the point between here to there. Is full with a lot of things that that when coming into recovery and having alcoholism is what I needed, because it brought me to a set of principles and a structure for which to work through that helps to navigate the capacity of my emotions, and that soul review that he again talks about in the YouTube that I watched today about learning the wisdom of the journey that's already been taken, and the strength in that. And he explains about how other people had these experiences, and when people have near-death experiences, it's a way of, and they talk about the flashing before their eyes and seeing their life, that this is a soul review. And it's what we are able to do without having to nearly die. And that's the powerful bit in the recovery program, step 4, is that we can do this soul review in order to learn the wisdom of our journey in post-sense, to then travel it forward to help others. And it's sorry. Slow down, guys. Too many energies. And it's that soul reveal that brings forward that a realignment. Like how my friend helped me with that by calling me back, by connecting to me. It's a form of kind of like energy work, is using the power of your voice. And so I suppose when we look back over the journey in our soul review, we have to see the wisdom, our soul wisdom, our journey's wisdom, our soul journey. And we don't have to go through those near-death experiences in order to then unravel the mysteries of why this relationship broke down, or why do I feel this way over my pet passing. What is this from this soul's life or previous incarnation? What's happening here? Why am I being pulled in this way when I'm working with my family? Or why am I being pulled in this way when I'm working with another person? And it helps to formulate a plan and a structure in order to make sense of some of these things. And it's not an easy thing, because the amount of pain that not only I caused to myself but to others was a lot. And the wonderful thing about that, a program like that, is it, it's amazing really, because what essentially the creators of the 12 steps of recovery, the very first 100 did was, and through Bill and Bill's first thing, is he's bringing back that wisdom and consciousness of the other realm, of passing over to, he talks about it in the book and also in the YouTube video, is that there is a point at which you realign, rebalance for, we talk about it in karma, and we rebalance when we pass over. We come to terms with all the experiences of not just mine, but of the other person, the interaction with those other souls that we've come in and we've transited past. We revisit those things. I mean, we talk about it, or we hear about it when people have near-death experiences, is that, it flashes before their eyes, and you had that experience when, they come back and they've changed, and I did. I changed. My mum referred to me as saying that, you're more selfish now. And it gave me a cause to think about that today again. I wonder what that means. And in a way, I think it was an acknowledgement maybe that I know that, I know that there is a purpose for my soul. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. We're all here learning. And I think having that experience, because it's like recently when I've talked more about my heart transplant and the experiences that have come back, I now can see myself in their operating room as if a gallery is opened up above me. And I experience this more now in the work that I do, that there is clarity to this, that it is real what I am seeing, because I experience it when I'm working, and I go up into what was like a balcony view, as if a spectator looking down on the operation. Now, I know that there was a spectator's balcony and that there were two women watching the surgery, but it doesn't explain how I can see them watching it. It also doesn't explain how I'm then looking down on my operation and can see my chest revealed. You might say that this is created by the mind in order to give context and construct to be able to make it more acceptable and manageable, but this isn't something I created before this experience, before going through that period of trauma and disillusionment and breaking and tearing of my soul, to then come to recovery, to start stitching and sewing it back together. This is something that's come out of development and meditation and work. So this has been brought to me like a memory back in order to give more context and clarity to the experiences that I've had. So I'm there and I can see it, and there are other people watching. And it is literally like the clouds parted here and we're all watching. Like you see in the great art pictures on the roofs of St. Paul's Cathedral, of the balcony of heaven looking down upon the creation of earth and seeing how they direct and watch from the balcony of heaven. And, that's what it's like. There are other people and they're pointing and they're looking and they're smiling. Someone's looking at me and going, looking at that. And actually that looks like one of my friends that's already passed over. And we're having a joke. I mean, these aren't the things that have just been created out of a delusion. So it's powerful. And this all came from me being completely anti-spiritualism, completely anti-meditation, completely anti-trees and tree hugging, which I now do, which I don't know why I feel embarrassed or shy to say. But, sitting with your back against a tree under the shade is cool. Doing Reiki with a tree. Just feeling the presence of something a lot larger, a lot older, a lot stronger and wiser, connected in a way that I can't even fathom, that science stretches to interpret. And again, this is a really cool thing, that the book and this video and this guy sharing his experiences, the linear framing of science doesn't explain consciousness. And there are things that come back to me and visions and pictures and memories as my soul is healing. It makes me think too, like in step 2, it's like came to believe in a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And it's like, I was thinking today actually that point of which I sat and looked back through my life, not doing the review to learn the lessons and the wisdom of my past, but looking back through my life to see where I could not explain what happened. So was I saved from these circumstances? How did I not get in trouble then? How did I win that race or swim, or how did these things happen? How was fate or a nudge from the angels or a flick around the ear, not getting on that bus? Can't too many things going across my mind. How were the undescribables things that have kept him on a projection that has righted my course, brought me back into where I need to be, connecting back to the person I've not spoken to, doing the studies that I've not wanted to do? How have I been always sort of like nudged, sometimes walloped back into the right direction? How have I been hinted, nudged by people to go do that course or look at those flowers, or that funeral's rewrited the path of which I've come on? How is it that that random conversation on the bus with a person sparked the creation of something completely different? The grief of saying goodbye to another friend as I grow up helped me to reevaluate and value my friend's family. And love, put me back to love, back to experiencing something really difficult in order to grow. And that's what step 3 was. But that's not actually ever stopped happening, because now you continue. For me now, how do I work that now? Is I continue in a way. And I didn't see this really until today. Still like little glimmers of it. But it's like today, now, how do I still see my step 3? It's like I've been seeing frogs, so I look at what frogs mean. I've been seeing polar bears or bears, I look at what that means. You know, that's communication. I follow the butterfly or the eagle. You know, it's like following those things that help me find things which mean something to my soul that my mind tries to translate, but it means something to my soul. So like there's an eagle energy that's around the top of my crown. There is, or it's on my left shoulder, there's a couple of birds, not quite worked out all of them, but that's what I mean. I know that there are a couple of birds around me. I'm pretty sure one of those is a crow. I know one of them is an eagle of some form, and I know another is an owl. There are 3, and there are one on each shoulder and one on my crown, because I can feel them. I know they're there, they're just showing me. I know that there is a wolf in my left lower leg. I know that there is a whale in my right lower leg. You know, and when you look at the shamanic root of things and you see those pictures, you see them with parts of their body being replaced, and that animal's energy or that animal representation then in that part. And then I'm like, I didn't know that's what it was, but I saw pictures and went, I like that. But I didn't know what the wisdom of it was. I didn't know what the meaning was. I didn't know that it actually meant something to me. But that's a power greater than myself, still active, still revealing, still teaching me, still telling me to be humble and be humble, remain humble, in order to stay consciously awake or possibly able to see. Freaking cool. See, I get excited over that. Where before I was talking to somebody in recovery and I used to have it perfect. A night in needed to be perfect with a pack of cigarettes, booze, food, and stuff. Had to make a night perfect in order to experience this combination of substances in order to reach a particular feeling or a changing a particular feeling, a right kind of high or atmospheric place. it is, because it's just smoke. It's grey smoke. It's not real. It's not real. I was talking to another lady recently, or just messaged her recently, and she was asking me sort of what I do and how Reiki's changed me. And as I was writing, I was really grateful to again be in recovery, because I'm talking to another guy who came and worked with me last weekend, to have that framework. Because the journey outwards along the path actually comes from the journey inwards. It's sort of as you go further within that it propels you forward, it motions you forward. I always had this image of one hand pouring into another like that, but not it going down but up, but the water going down. Do you know what I mean? It's an odd image, and I don't know where it's from, but the water doing that, but these paddles sort of stay in the same place. Well, there's lots of them like this, but the water goes down, but the paddles are going up. It's like a visual, shouldn't be, but it works somehow. One hand feeding the other, and the flow of spirit, energy, wisdom, consciousness, I don't know, but water of life, I don't know, anything, something. And it gives you, so I know that's a flow to me. I know that's important to me, I suppose, is what I'm sharing. And there'll be things like that will make sense to you, like the plaiting and weaving of the barley or of a rope, the twisting and curling of a cord. That's how I see the soul cord in mine, and see where bits have come out of it. I can see the scars sometimes. I can see where there's areas work to be done. And religion, counselling, any religion, your own belief structure, is sort of the framework which supports that, which is a bit like what the body is. And the steps do that for me. I had another conversation with a lady, and we were talking about this, stuff to do with the soul, and I was explaining my idea really of that like we're all souls, and if you imagine like the body is like the hull of the boat. Yeah, so your body's the hull of the boat, and the world that we're in is like the energy of the river that we flow upon. But actually, what's really important is the soul within the boat. All of what's within the boat. This is the hull. And she said, paraphrasing, might have got this wrong. Disclaimer moment. I don't want to be spirit. I want to be human. And to me, I was like, why would you want to do that? For me, I'd rather be spirit than human, because they're the same but different. The human is what the spirit comes into. The spirit is what comes out. So then discard that, we bury that, and we're like bye. But then this is still here. The essence of the soul is always around. Those loved ones that pass over, animals, seeing dinosaurs on Blackpool Beach, the energy of them being there. Spirit. It's there, the spirit of a tree. You will feel that in the wood. It resonates to you. Sorry, it's me. So what is soul wisdom, soul healing, soul reviews, soul awakenings? Soul awakenings, the image that just showed me, is what lights you up, what propels you in life. Do you remember those toys that were like tubes with water inside and different colours, like squidgy. They were stress toys. I think they were 90s or noughties, I can't remember. But like, you know, propels you like those when you used to stick your finger in and pop out sometimes, you know. What propels you, like currents of energy going up an electrical cable. That's what soul awakening is. Finding what lightens you, propels you, warms you, fires you up, inspires you, exhilarates you. And I suppose what soul healing is bringing the fracturing of your soul cord back into alignment. It's like pulling all the little strings and going, right, let's stick that back in there, that bit in here, that bit in here, to make a funnel for which you flow more energy through. Maybe like a plant, bark of the tree is the shell, and then it's the way that it flows up and down. Pips, pips, pips. I mean, that's how we see current, isn't it? Pips of energy running through the current. So yeah, so I suppose it's been a really interesting journey last couple of weeks. It's I've not done a video blog for a while, and I stepped back from my other Facebook account and some other things. For personal sort of personal protection is the wrong word, but for a bit of safety, really. So it's, you know, I suppose I'm in phase 3 of this life, maybe. So phase 1 being the young child and being beautifully hook, line, and sinker, hook, line, and sinker, hook, line, and yeah. Well, you know, Christianity and a part of the church. To then going through a period of doubt, disillusionment. And don't get me wrong, I'm still working through my heart transplant experience. You know, that change is still changing me. It's not like any big experience is chopped up, broken down, and then it's done. It continues to echo forward, shaping, funneling the projection forward. So I'm still not anywhere near understanding fully or accepting or processing, however it is, because how could you? It's a monumental thing. And lots of people had those monumental things. But it's that step 2 again, seeing the God flow sometimes, seeing the connectivity, the hidden meaning behind things. Coming into recovery from my disability has been able to accept. I just jumped all the way to the third one. Well, no, I suppose, yeah. So all the doubt around the disability, I suppose it's the same thing. You know, I'm still doing that, and I suppose the third bit would be, yeah, is coming to it more, coming to a place of acceptance with my disability around my heart transplant. Because I suppose I've managed, I hope, in a way to articulate some of that process of coming to being more peaceful with it. I once saw my heart transplant as a curse for which I would continue to have what I referred to as an abhorrent disability condition. I'm not a fan of disability word. So I came to recovery for one thing, but I've learned and found recovery of a lot of other things. And one of them has been the grief around losing friends. Still working on that. The grief around and the love. It's love of friends, love of my heart transplant. You know, it's that attachment sometimes that we place on these things that cause the pain. That's the Buddhism, which is helping. But coming to the acceptance and seeing the hidden value and the hidden meaning within what my condition is and my disability, and my friend who gave me the book helped me see, and a lady who I worked with as well, who did a reading for me, and said, is one of the reasons that you're here, David, is to show that you can be spiritual, even though you're disabled, even though you're not able-bodied. That you and I don't have to be all singing or dancing, walking, breathing, athletic people in order to be a soul, a spiritual entity, to be an enlightened being, to be awoken. And I've not seen that. Which my negative mind can go, oh, you should have done that. And I shouldn't have. And so often the mind can be so condescending. But I don't see my disability now anything like I did. And I'll see that my heart transplant started to wake me up. It gave me a ball of energy that is still evolving now and growing. And that my condition is beautifully created because it progresses very slowly. And it has done. And it's allowed these different phases of change to happen. And it's by using those tools of reviewing the past, Reiki to help heal and growth and things, and seeing the hidden meaning between the lines of the experience, seeing how that it's not just about me and me experiencing my condition. It's about actually how those around me and those I meet experience my condition. It's how those souls that, as they pass by, the friction of those contacts helps change them and helps change me. And I think that's to do with this flowing water thing. But it's less about my experience. It's not less about my experience. It's about those experiences. Is that it's not. It's like he said. Eden does about agreeing. We agree to come back down to the sandbox, back down to earth, in order to, with a group of souls, in order to have us these experiences. I've heard it in other readings and things that you meet people so many lifetimes because. There's reasons for karma to be rebalanced and things, and it's in order for me to grow and other people to grow, for them their souls to grow, because sometimes it's through experiencing love and that grief of love that grows our soul. It's an odd one, that. And I was trying to define what that experience is. How do you quantify that in a day-to-day thing? About how do you know if somebody's got a small soul or a large soul? I don't think it quite works like that. But, I wondered if it's about the presence that a person has. It made me think of a woman I saw at the Spiritualist Church had such a strong presence that I could feel her energy very strongly within the room as she walked in. There was another guy who I felt him before he arrived in the room. Is that the strength of his soul, or the love of his soul that he's experienced through his lifetime, radiating out and affecting that which he walks through? I think there's probably something in that. But I do wonder if that that growth, it's like stretching any muscle at the gym, comes through the experiences, and they're not always good ones. And I was talking to the woman who I did a reading for yesterday, and I said my experiences before, in the previous sections, third, so there must be a fourth one coming. Cheers, guys. Is that I learned by the negative ramifications and seeing the women seeing the wisdom post. And what I like about Buddhism is focusing on the positive and learning from the positive lesson, gaining wisdom from that. I know wisdom is gained by mistakes, but there's something in that. It's about, the yin and yang of something. If my cycle has been to learn one way, then it flips. Then it will flip again. So if it's been one way, it flips the next. The wheel of time rotates 7 years one way, rotates 7 years the other way. Lady Karma one way, other way. So that must mean that you must be able to learn another way, and I'm sure other people will know that. I'm still looking to find that way and how that works for me, but that's sort of maybe the phase I'm in now. Someone asked me recently about would you or could you or going to have another heart transplant? I suppose I haven't awoken to that bit yet. I suppose that comes back to my step 3. A different kind of consciousness, but I don't know if that is a part of this journey. But I do believe this, and something one of my teachers has helped me to continue to believe in this, and especially at times like this, actually, when I'm feeling closer, because it's coming up to my my anniversary, actually, of my heart transplant in a couple of days. I always feel more mortal. Like the thread with the 3 witches. I always feel that in my rotation of my lunar cycle, I come closer to that point. As I rotate round, I come back closer to that point in time of which it changed, which it all changed. I believe that I had the same experience around Christmas, where I tread through the same path within the cycle of our planet, that I come into that alignment, that phase again, and transitioning through those phases is becoming a laser. But as I'm in one of those phases now, I feel more vulnerable, I feel more raw, I feel more open to what was happening at that time, as it sort of echoes across, because we see time as a line, but it could just be as walking through the door to that, back into that time, not back but into that time. It is just over there. The work around that is not to get fixed on that, to see the meaning in that, but it's more that to balance it, to understand that there is a reason why parts of the year are harder for people when they lose loved ones, because you are walking through that time again. Your soul feels it. There can be those fear blockages. I get loads of them. I had one before coming on here to do this. I've had loads while developing the business. It's all a part of the healing. It's all a part of the journey. It's all a part of the growing. It's outgrowing the old behaviours of this lifetime, past lifetime. It's outgrowing friendships and dynamics which have been comfortable. It's, doing a bit like Popeye and pop and going into the next part. Different guides come to work with you to help you through those things. So that's a really, really long video blog for this one. So I suppose if you've made it all the way through, or if you've done this in many sections, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for joining me in a part of this journey as I sort of like reflect over some of the stuff of the last couple of weeks and experiences over the years. I hope maybe if you see any pearls of wisdom from my examples that have helped you, or you now see them within your own examples, and ever would like to discuss them or look at them or share them, would you like any help? Because this journey helps to have people along, because I wouldn't have done it without them. So what is Soul Gardener? Again, I suppose it's doing all of that, and the tools in which I use to help me to do that is Reiki, meditation, talking, sharing, listening, eating well, all sorts of different things. There's been work over the last 3 years, blood, sweat and toil. So if you made it through and you're on your own journey, absolutely huzzah. And I hope one day at some point we might be able to share the journey. And please follow me on Instagram if you like. My website as well is www.soul-gardener.co.uk. You can also email me at david@soulgardener, it could be a hyphen in there, .com. I can't remember, .co.uk. See, I'm tired now, sorry guys. But I'll put it in the links and you'll be able to see. But so book to recommend at the moment, and a guide to look up on YouTube. I posted him earlier today. Is this chap here and his book. And don't think you're going mad if you start questioning things and things start to feel like they're unraveling, or if you start to have people saying you're a bit mad, because actually what you're doing is what I would say in my experience has been what I was meant to do. And if you're a seeker and a questioner, the most painful thing is not to do that. So if you're in pain, my friends, get in touch, share with another, speak to somebody, but go where your heart is calling, because when you start doing that, the world changes. In my journey, just in some of the stuff I've shared today, this flat that I'm in, the cat that lives with me, the people I've met, I thought my condition was a curse and it's been a blessing. I thought my heart transplant was a death sentence and it's the thing that keeps me alive. I thought there wasn't a God and that spirituality was pants. I now know there's a God. I now feel, see that love and that aspect of God in and around me most of every second of my life, which is pretty immense, if not a bit mental. So yeah, you're not alone. You are loved and you are needed. So take care. God bless. And I'll catch you on the flip side.